All right, I'm sitting here with Joy Kauffman, who is the founder and executive director of Farm Stew International. Explain to us, what is Farm Stew International?
So Farm Stew International, we call it a recipe for abundant life, and it's a trainer of trainers program. So we have a curriculum that is designed to equip people to address the root causes of hunger, disease, and poverty, basically what plagues the world. And so our whole goal is to help people to have that abundant life that Jesus talks about in John 10:10, where he says he wants everyone to have abundant life. But then he also talks about that there's a thief that is here to kill, steal, and destroy. So we're trying to fight the thief and be on the side of Jesus, and doing that in a bunch of different countries and a bunch of different ways now. And yeah, it's been exciting.
That's super exciting. I'm really happy to be able to share about this together. So if I understand correctly, Farm Stew is like an acronym. Am I right in that? Is it the whole Farm Stew? Or so break down, what is the acronym, and maybe that'll give our listeners a better idea of exactly kind of what way you're giving them abundant life.
So we talk about these 8 ingredients, and each one is a letter. So the word farm starts with the word farm. So it's farming. And then the A stands for attitude. So, and all of this is biblically based and scientifically informed. So we'll go into that in a bit. But farming, attitude, rest, that's for our bodies and also for the soil. And then meals is the M. So we focus on whole food, plant-based meals. So that package is farm. And then the stew package, we think of something made at home, something healthy, nourishing. The stew stands, though, for sanitation, temperance, enterprise, and water. And so all of those 8 ingredients are essential for a healthy and abundant life.
That's awesome. Cool. And you do have some background in nutrition, correct? What's kind of your professional background and what you're bringing to this ministry?
Yeah, so I was trained as a nutritionist with a focus in international development, and then got my master's in public health from Johns Hopkins. And so it's bringing that together. And then I also did a master gardener program at University of Illinois. And so I kind of say I'm bringing in the public health, nutrition, master gardening, and then my last big qualification is being a mom. So I have 2 teenage girls, and I just think, it's the mom in me that really drives my passion for this work, because I can't imagine looking into the eyes of, my child and not having the food to give them, or having their education stop when their menstruation starts, which happens for millions of children, or, not having a future, not having a hope. And so it's really my desire, and I think the desire of all of our donors and board members and everybody, many of whom are parents and grandparents. They want that abundant life that they want for their own family to be a blessing to all the families of the earth.
No, absolutely.
So you're about to be a dad, right?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah. So it's close to home, so to speak, the mission and cause and purpose of the whole ministry. That's great. So fill us in on kind of what initiated, what kind of, where was this inspiration birthed from to start this ministry?
Yeah, well, it's kind of a long story, but the shortened version of it is just kind of a passion from childhood to be interested in nutrition. And then also, when I was in high school, my dad actually got involved in water and sanitation for developing countries. And that was my first time I ever realized there was, at that time, 1 billion people, this was back in the late 80s, who didn't have access to clean water. And starting to recognize through my public health training that there was, not just a single shot approach. I was working with a nutrition professor that was just doing vitamin A supplementation, for example, and you can make a big impact on the immune system of someone by giving them a little tablet of vitamin A. But really, if you don't have clean water, if your family doesn't have any money, if you don't have a healthy diet, all of these things play into the outcome of a child being able to have an abundant life or not. And so wanting to look at a holistic approach, and then also coming at it from the biblical standpoint. And it was really learning about actually the Seventh-day Adventists and their New Start sort of formula that came out of Sister White's 8 Laws of Health. And what a tremendous difference that's been making in the lives of millions of North American Adventists, and thinking there's got to be something for people in the developing world as well that could be similar in terms of their impact, similar in terms of biblically informed, but a different message. And I'll just play a little game with you.
Sure.
Pretend you're a woman, right, who wakes up every morning at 4 a.m. and you have to walk for an hour and a half to go get water. And that water is actually kind of it from a muddy swamp where the cows are getting it at the same place, okay? And so then an evangelist comes downtown, Pastor Nathan maybe, and he says, hey, I am an Adventist. I have this great health message. I think you need to go get more fresh air, exercise, and sunshine. And really, you should drink a lot of water.
Yeah, good point. I know where you're going with this. And that new start, if you're not familiar with it, right? It's nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine. Temperance.
Yes. Rest. No,
air.
I'm spelling wrong.
Maybe.
Air. Yeah.
Rest, and then
the most important one.
Trust in God.
Yeah.
So we might come with this great, theoretical idea of do all of these things and you'll be happy and healthy and things, when those things maybe aren't available to the listener. Is that kind of where you're going?
Yeah,
with
or
that?
maybe they're available in an overabundance. She needs tons of fresh air, tons of exercise. Like she doesn't even have enough calories to hardly function. And you're saying go for a jog. It's not going to be relevant
exercise.
Or helpful.
Good point.
So it was that idea of those messages.
Contextualizing it.
They're very, very important for Western people sitting at a desk all day. But not in that situation. So given that there's, more than 1 billion people in that situation, Jesus, when he unrolled the scroll of Isaiah and said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, he's anointed me to bring good news to the poor. It's like, if our health message isn't good news to the poor, then I don't think it's in line with Jesus' mission. It has to be contextualized as the right word.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And I'd love to have you back on here to get into the details, but I guess as we've gotten a kind of a sense of what motivated it, what it is, that it's a recipe for abundance, as your logo, your tagline, I guess is. Yeah,
recipe for abundant life.
Recipe for an abundant life. So this ministry has been going for how many years at this point?
6 years, yeah.
Okay.
Just crossed that mark.
So awesome. So 6 years. In that 6-year period, how many people have been impacted by your message?
Okay, so it's a little hard to count people because we count training days, because every day a trainer goes out to train. So we have 50 full-time African staff, and when they go out into the villages, they have people sign in. And so our goal is, it's like a discipleship program. You go back into the same community again and again, because you're really trying to transform their lives from really the ground up. And so there's been 20,000 participants in a training event. So it's a little bit hard to estimate the actual number of people.
Okay.
Because we don't have, it's not really, there's no electricity out there. There's nothing, so we can't have them sign in or log in. But it's been pretty exciting. There's been, I think, over 7,000 training events. Okay. So they're usually small groups under a village, or under a mango tree out in a village.
Okay.
And it's amazing. You get out there and you'll get started, and it's all local people that really lead the training. But when I'm there, it's like this magnetic attraction. They'll start a class, and people will just show up and be coming out of the woodworks and come up for a cooking class or a farming class, or we have village savings and loan clubs. So the people come in and they pool their money for the first time ever. They're learning how to save. They've maybe never had a bank account. And so they can come together and learn the value of saving. And we really have, pastors that are saying, this is how our church can grow, because these, suddenly they become, people that can tithe, people that can send their own children to school, people that can help their neighbors when their neighbors are hungry. They can, they have a garden, or they've learned how to prepare jackfruit that's hanging from the trees, but they didn't realize it was edible in the immature state. So so much to share. I'm really thankful for the invitation, David.
Yeah, no, I really do think this might need to be several chapters to get really into this, but I'm really excited, so we're going to be sharing this definitely here with our local church in Montrose. Well, putting it on our YouTube channel, so who knows where that's going to reach. But, we've got a radio station here and just getting people aware with what's going on and then how they can participate. So if somebody is hearing this and goes, whoa, that sounds really interesting. I mean, I know when I started to catch a glimpse of this, it was like, wow. I remember as a little kid, 13 years old, opening up a National Geographic magazine and looking at some of the African children, skin and bone, and just my heart yearning for like, wow, I would love to make a difference.
Yeah.
So, but it's a little bit out of reach. I mean, it isn't so much in the 21st century, but it can feel like finding a reputable ministry to be able to work with to make. And what I love about the ministry you guys are doing is it's not just dropping off a load of food that feeds them for a week or for a month or however long. It really is that teaching them how to fish rather than giving them a fish. And so and that it has that multiplication of it has that catalyst effect where it then begins to grow on itself.
And I just want to give a shout out to our board of directors. It's really a fantastic group of people who, a lot of whom have international experience, like extensive international experience. And so they've seen the Band-Aid approach. They've seen the, throw down food or bring them, one day medical clinic or whatever. And I'm not knocking those things. Sometimes they're important in an emergency situation. Right. But for development, for a community to really know who they are and for a family to really be able to thrive, it's just, you can't give handouts. And Sister White gives this awesome quote. She says, "You may give to the poor and injure them because you teach them to be dependent. Wow. Instead, teach them to help themselves. This will be true help." And then the part where we come in, she says, "The needy must be placed in a position where they can help themselves." Amen. And so I feel like that's the role of the outsiders. And then I do want to say we're kind of cooking up some ideas here in the Paonia area of also figuring out how do we contextualize the Farms Do training back to the United States. So there might be some of you listening that, maybe you've noticed food is getting more expensive here. Maybe you have a little plot of dirt outside your house that, maybe could become a garden for you. So that might be one of the next chapters is what can you do to apply the principles of Farms Do in your life as well?
Yeah, that's awesome. And there's something about agriculture that's communal. It does bring people together and it equips individuals, but also it strengthens the community. I mean, growing up in Paonia, born and raised in Paonia, having the abundance of fruit and vegetables and things all around enriches the whole community. And so particularly in areas that are challenged like Africa, to have that kind of, in fact, a documentary that I've recommended many times to Joy. I'm not sure she's watched it or not yet.
I gotta get on it.
But
I watched the trailer and I'm excited.
It's called Mully, and it was available on Amazon Prime if it's still up there. I hope it is.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Just to see the transformation of the land, the transformation of the young people who are literally taken off of the streets, taught how to farm, and then in the produce that's produced from the farms, they're able to pay for their schooling, so they're able to become professionals and involved in their greater community. And it's really, so on every level, on like an ecological and an economical and educational level, you're using agriculture in order to build up a community.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it really reminds me of what you guys are doing is really trying to take it from a wholesome approach and equip people both physically, mentally, spiritually,
Amen.
And emotionally. So
that is all just borrowed from God, right? The Garden of Eden, we were put there before sin entered in. We were given a job, and it was gardening. And so we try to tell people, especially in certain countries, farming is seen as this very low, sort of degraded occupation. And so people just would rather sit under a tree and, play games or drink alcohol or whatever. And we're like, no, this is a dignified and profitable occupation.
Wow.
And so we want to help them be able to help themselves.
Powerful.
And it starts with the soil.
That's so powerful. Well, thanks, Joy. I know you've got another appointment to get to.
Go pick up a kid.
Exactly. Your most important appointment. So
well, and by the way, you might not have caught this, but I am now living on the farm that Nathan grew up on with his parents. So it's kind of cool. There's several houses there, and I'm blessed to be occupying one of them with my family. So we're gonna be working together. So I'm very blessed.
It really is awesome. And she is only an hour away. So I'm sure we'll be getting her back on here to tell more of the story. And, maybe next time we can hear some of the testimonials and hear some of the details on how individuals are being impacted. And
honestly, that's the most exciting part.
Oh, absolutely.
So this was the fluff. You'll get to the substance here soon. So
we've gotten the overview. Now we'll get to the details. Well, but why don't we have a prayer for your ministry while we're here? Gracious Father, thank you so much for the vision and desire that you planted deeply in Joy's heart. Thank you that it's coming to fruition in such a powerful and impactful way. And I just want to pray. I know that when beautiful things are happening, the enemy is close behind, trying to steal, kill, and destroy as he does. So I pray that you would give Joy that peace and that wisdom and that energy and strength that she needs to be able to do the very important role that she's playing in this ministry as the director, as the founder, and just pray you would bless each level of this ministry, the board of directors, as well as the feet on the ground, the people out there doing the trainings, as well as the donors. And Lord, if you have some donors here that would be inspired to give towards this project, pray that you would motivate their hearts as well, because this is your work. Amen. And it's for your glory. And so we entrust it into your hands. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So if somebody is inspired by this, how do they give towards the ministry?
Yeah, so they can go to farmstew.org, which is pretty easy to find. I spelled it out already. And just click, there's a little purple button, and you can click donate there. Also, we still have our administrative headquarters back in Illinois, so it's just Farm Stew and P.O. Box 291, and that's in Princeton, Illinois, and it is 81356. So,
awesome.
Yeah, that's the zip code. So thanks
so
for
cool.
asking.
If you've liked what you've heard and you want to learn more, or if you already know you want to give towards it, just go and check out those resources. Thanks again, Joy, and we'll look forward to hearing more from you.
Thanks for your support. It's highly appreciated.
Absolutely. God bless.